Okay, I'm live on Facebook and YouTube. Whoops. Sorry. There we go. Okay. Just waiting for everyone to turn up. I'm on YouTube and Facebook. Okay. I've never seen Denise spelled that way. Have I? Is that how Denise? Isn't there an I-E-C-E? Denise? No, maybe that's right. Maybe it's just I-S-E. I don't know if you can hear the kid out in the hall. We've got like a little toddler in the hallway. Hello, Chelsea. I don't know if you can hear him. He's having a bit of a tantrum. Doesn't bother me. I'm not dealing with him. Okay. Now you probably can't hear that. These mics don't tend to pick up stuff from a distance. Oh, you did hear. He's actually a really easy little kid most of the time. I guess he's tired because it's getting late. Okay, so let's get going with the live. My name's Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. I'm a mom, and I'm also a grandmother. If you want to check out the link above, you can see all my courses, my coaching, and you can get my free behavior board. My group live Q&A sessions are starting in a couple of days. They're starting on Saturday morning. If you are in one of the boot camp courses, yeah, you want to get in on that. That's the live. It's like a Zoom call. It's a group coaching session, basically. So it doesn't matter where you are in the boot camp courses. Doesn't matter if you come in late, if you cut whatever. You can just pop in when you want. And anyway, check that out. It's on the link above. Just sign up for the newsletter, and you'll get all the information on that. Okay. So let's get going with your parenting questions, and I'll do my best to answer them. Kind of on here a little bit late. I'm not usually doing a live this late. I'm not good at night. I'm a morning person. Okay. And we did a couple of podcasts today, filmed a couple more. It's really funny because I just get warmed up after a couple of podcasts. That's all my daughter has in her. She says, 2, that's it. I'm exhausted. So yeah, she likes the behind the scenes where she does this with me. So that's why it's tiring for her. Okay, just waiting for everyone to turn up and ask questions. That's what I'm here for, just answering questions. So I was just reading my own notes here. Oh, I haven't. If you did sign up for coaching, if you did request coaching, I'm hoping to get to that in the next couple of days. I just haven't had any spaces open. So I keep asking questions, but then erase because I remember past advice. LOL. Well, nothing else is happening right now. Oh, I've actually got someone here. Okay. How do you deal with a toddler tantrum when they cling and climb on you? Oh, you just sort of peel them off you like a banana peel and just ignore it. Just ignore it. Or just walk around with them attached to your leg. It's like they're not even there, you know? And when you're peeling them off, you don't say anything. Don't look at them. You just kind of, and then you're going to do the dishes or something. They'll do anything to get your attention. As soon as they got your attention, they just won. You're feeding the tantrum. Any attention is fertilizing a tantrum. I have referred several of my daycare parents to you. That's really sweet. Thanks for that. I really do appreciate that. Yeah, it seems to be the age. I'm hoping to do boot camp. The toddler age is, I would say, not my coaching clients. They're older. Usually have older kids. But on these lives, it's mostly toddler parents. I'm hoping to do boot camping in the beginning of the year. I'm on a tight budget. Okay, the boot camp is the 2 boot camp courses, one for toddlers, one for older kids. All those mini toddler courses are going to be disappearing this Saturday. And we're just going to have the 2 boot camp courses. Okay, I have a 4 and a 6-year-old girls who always fight, who wants to be in my lap. I try to give them turns, but it always ends up with pushing and kicking and yelling and fighting, whoever goes first, more so on. Okay, there's so many different ways I could approach this, right? So I always sort of get caught up when I've got too many answers. This is one of those. Okay, so you got siblings fighting. They're jealous of each other. They're both fighting for your lap, etc. Put a timer on, flip a coin, and say, okay, I'm going to flip a coin. You choose heads or tails. Whoever gets heads goes first. You can sit in my lap for 1 minute. And every turn after that gets 2 minutes. So time it. Use a timer. It's going to be your best friend with stuff like this. And make it something that they can see. So the first turn in your lap, I'm just using that as an example. The first turn in your lap only gets 1 minute, but every turn after that is 2 minutes. They'll get sick of it and just stop fighting and wander off probably. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of kicking and screaming and fighting. And if they are, just stand up and say no lap while you're screaming and kicking and fighting. Okay. I'm simplifying it. That might not work, but it's just one of the many methods I've got. My 2-year-old keeps saying, shut your mouth and go away to me. Where did he hear that? So I would just say no and then walk away. Oh, you got a 3-year-old who won't poop on the potty. Yeah, super common, mostly with boys. Girls sometimes too, but mostly with boys. There's 3 reasons generally why they won't poop on the toilet. The first one is they might have a cold bum and they're there for a while, right? The second one is the hanging phobia. They don't like the feeling of the poop hanging there and pulling on them. Do you know what I'm saying? Sorry, it's graphic, but it's kid stuff. And the last one is plop phobia. Maybe they've pooped in the toilet and they got splashed with water and it did not feel good. That's why it's mostly boys. They have more equipment down there hanging, getting splashed. Anyway, so what I would suggest you do is you get one of those little porta potties, put it on the floor, and then you put some toilet paper in the bottom and say, now when you sit down on that, you can feel your bottom is actually touching the bottom of that. So their bum is touching the bottom of the potty. So they don't have that hanging problem. Plus there's no water. And then turn up the heat in the bathroom so they're not cold. Or if you can't do that, can't always just keep that bathroom heated, whatever, might not have a separate heater in there. So then just wrap them up in a big quilt or something while they're sitting on there. They'll look like a tent, a teepee sitting there. And then play their favorite show. They only get to see their favorite show on iPad while they're sitting trying to poop on the porta potty. So it's just a few things you can try. It often works. Might not, but it might work. How do you discipline car misbehavior? Well, I don't know how old they are. You'd have to tell me that. And don't just tell me the age. You have to write the whole question out again with the ages because I won't remember you know what I mean. I need the whole thing together. What if you ignore the tantrum, but the toddler hits and throws things at you or bangs their head? Yeah, that's easy. You just physically restrain them. If they're hurting themselves, hurting someone else, or damaging property, you just physically restrain them, but you don't look at them or talk to them. You're just holding them, preventing them from being aggressive and violent. And then just maybe do it for a minute, let go. If they start up again, you just hold them, but you're looking away. You're not paying them any attention whatsoever. So yeah, just physically restrain them from being aggressive. Why is my kid good at school and rotten at home? That's not what you said. You didn't say rotten. But anyway, there's a couple of reasons for that. Either the teacher is a leader or there could be peer pressure at school. They're too embarrassed. Generally, it could be either one, but you didn't put down the age, so I don't quite know. When you get home, he's unleashes. Okay. Well, basically, work on your leadership skills. Start with my behavior board. It is the training wheels with all this stuff. It's free. It's in the link above. It also has a toddler section on it now. Okay, so check it out. It'll get you started with all this stuff. That's okay. Unleashes. I knew what you meant. Four-year-old who doesn't listen, and I end up shouting. The reason you shout is it works in the moment potentially, but it's going to backfire down the road. What do you need them to listen to? I don't quite understand. Let's say, clean up your toys. Yeah, I don't talk like that. I would just wait till they ask for something and they say, "Yeah, please have a cookie." Sure, as soon as you finish cleaning up your toys. Use the as soon as method. Give that a go. Or else you could put down a stop if they're doing something naughty that you want to stop. Use the behavior board. It's completely free. It's in the link above. You just put down no, whatever you want them to stop doing, or else you start doing. Make their bed every morning, or put your dirty clothes in the hamper, or something like that, or stop hitting. You put that as the rule, and then there's a consequence when they do it. Let them commit the crime. Everyone's trying to prevent the bad behavior. I don't do that. I let them walk right into it. And then I have a consequence to teach them. It's the consequences that teach them lessons, not you trying to prevent it. Remember, don't do that. Then you become a micromanager and a nag, and they're just going to shut you out. So yeah, I let them commit the crimes. I have no problem with that. That's where the lesson is. The lesson is in the consequences once they've committed the crime, right? So I'm just scrolling ahead here. Okay, you got a 15-month-old who hits you. Yeah, they're still babies. So about 16 months is when I call them a toddler. So you just say no and you hold their hand. And then you might go off and then you might walk away and go and read a book somewhere else. Make them come to you. So, but you don't say, come over here. You do indirect redirecting. So you're not inviting them in. You're just doing something. You're hoping they'll come over and join in. If you say, come over here, it just sort of sets them off a little bit differently. But if you just go off and start reading a book, their favorite book out loud to yourself, they're more likely to forget about the fight or whatever they were, hitting you over. And then they're more likely to come and crawl in your lap. How many rules, consequences are appropriate per child on a behavior board? Just check out the behavior board. It goes through all that. It's a whole lesson on how you do the behavior board. And it's one rule per everybody, parent, child. And there's 2 consequences for the kids. There's a positive action. If they won't do that, you go to the negative deprivation. One of my clients today said, their kid said, why do you only have 1 consequence? Or I think the parent said, what if they asked that? And I said, well, say, because I know I'm going to do it. So we don't know if you're going to do it or not, right? And then if they keep arguing, just say, oh, well, whatever. You don't always have to explain everything. Parents get caught up in over-explaining everything. And, sometimes it just gets to the point where they're just challenging you. But why? But why? Well, the reason is, you don't have to over-explain everything. They are pulling you in. The reason I don't like talking about kids fighting is because it's okay, but it's not the first thing I deal with. It's like if you were to say to me how to fly a plane, I wouldn't tell you, okay, here's the answer, go fly a plane. It's like that. There's so many other steps involved before you can fly the plane. There's a lot of steps involved before your kids stop fighting. You have to do a lot of it. You deal with the easier things first. Master your leadership skills, use the behavior board. But yeah, it's a tough one. It's not the first thing I do. It's sort of like level 8 or 9. You're level 1 with all this stuff. And then you're asking, how do I deal with level 8 or 9? Yeah, it's kind of jumping ahead. It's not the first thing I deal with when I'm coaching parents, like in coaching. It's not the first thing we deal with because it's too difficult. And that's why I don't like talking about it in lives, because there's too many other things that you want to master first before you delve into that. You got to put down the ages for me to answer. Sometimes I can answer. It's obvious that what the age would have to be. I'm struggling with positive consequences. Do you recommend having the same consequences each offense? Like correlating a rule with one outcome. Say I want to help my child get active, and so positive action. What can I be effective with changing physical activity, or does it kind of feed anxiety? I have no idea what you're asking me here. I don't know. A positive consequence, I call it a positive action. And so there's 2 consequences for the kids on the behavior board. It's like, okay, so you broke a rule, you swore, you said a bad word. You're not allowed to put attitude on there, but you can put name calling, swearing on there. Yeah, you can put those on there, but not attitude, not like just, most stuff. But yeah, swearing and name calling. Anyway, so let's say they name called, and then you say, okay, I didn't like that. You name called, let's go to the board. Name calling, not allowed to do that. So the consequence is you have to empty the dishwasher tonight. It's something like that. Don't overthink it. Keep it simple. The consequence doesn't really matter. Just have one. It's a positive action. It's usually just a chore. So yeah, and if they won't do that, then there's the negative deprivation. You take something away. Someone asked earlier about timeout. I hate timeout. I don't do it at all. I can't stand it. I think it's mean. And there's no lesson learned. You go sit in the corner all by yourself and you think about what you did. And then they come out and then you give them a mini therapy session discussing everything they did wrong. I don't discuss bad behavior, and I don't believe in timeout. I deal with bad behavior and then I focus on the positive stuff. I always want to go back to positive. I don't hang around in negative. And it's depressing. And it's pointless. Almost 8, severe anxiety. I'm not a doctor, so I can't really talk about that. But I will say, children, if you're a leader for your child, you can check out the behavior board. It's the start to all this, or the boot camp courses. Or if you want to go next level, it's coaching one-on-one with me. So you can check into that. Once you set yourself up as a leader, children tend to be more calm because they feel safe, they feel taken care of, and they always have somewhere to go to tell everything to. So work on your leadership skills. Potentially that could help the anxiety. I don't know. They might just have anxiety. It might be a medical diagnosis. I don't know. Some people just do. Like I had panic attacks for a while. I think it was in my early 20s. And I know what they are. I remember the last one I ever had, I had them off and on for a couple of years. I was probably, I don't know, 20, 21. And I remember once I was down in Mexico by myself going to a Club Med. I always like traveling alone because you meet more people that way, right? And Club Med's pretty safe because you're confined into one area generally. So anyway, I was down there. I think I was 19 or something. And I remember I had a panic attack in the airport by myself. I was the only one from the club going home at that time. So it was kind of creepy. Had a creepy cab ride from the resort. And anyway, and a panic attack came on. If you've ever had one, it's a real thing. It feels like you're going to throw up, pass out, and die all at the same time. So I never throw up, but I sat next to a garbage can. I thought I cannot possibly get on that flight, but I knew I had to because it was getting late. It was in Mexico in a creepy little airport somewhere. And it was creepy. So anyway, so I thought I have to get on that plane, but I could barely move. It's debilitating. Anyway, and I remember thinking I was sitting there and having this panic attack. Now, no one would have known. I didn't hyperventilate when I had them. And so because I've seen kids do all this stuff, they tend to hyperventilate more than adults do from what I've seen. Anyway, so I thought, well, I got to get on this flight. And I remember thinking, wait a minute, I've had a lot of panic attacks. I've never thrown up, I've never passed out, and I've never died. So I just stood up, got on the flight with the panic attack, and that was the last panic attack I ever had. It got better after that. I challenged it. I thought, actually, none of that stuff's ever happened to me. So I just challenged it and got on the plane. Anyway, I've talked to kids through this, and I've said, generally what you're worried about never happens. So try and challenge it and go through it. But they don't tend to listen to you unless you understand it. Like, it's interesting because I've talked to kids who as soon as I say, I know what it feels like. I know exactly what it feels like. Swallowing's difficult. It's just the weirdest feeling. And then when they know I really understand it, then they're more likely to believe that it doesn't mean anything. It's just a figment of your imagination generally. But like I said, I'm not a doctor. I can't diagnose that. But that's how I talk to kids who get panic attacks. Consequences are not working for my 4-year-old. What then? Well, I don't know what consequences you have. If you want my specific help with that, you'd have to hire me for coaching, and I'd have to assess what you've done. There's always something we can come up with. People say, well, nothing works. They don't care about anything. Oh, yes, we can always find something. So that's when you'd have to hire me to do some digging. I'd have to find something. So yeah, I don't know. If consequences aren't working, you're missing something usually. There's something that you're not doing right. And I can't assess that because I'd have to look at everything you're doing. So yeah, that would be coaching. How do you deal with fighting in the car? How old are they? 4-year-old and 2.5-year-old usually hitting or arguing. Yeah, if they're hitting, how do they have access to each other? There's things that you can buy that you can put like screens up between kids. 2.5-year-old, you can't do much about that. And the 2.5-year-old will probably be trying to antagonize the 4-year-old. You're asking me, how do I help 2 little kids who have access to each other in the back seat? Yeah, I don't know. I would get some kind of a barrier between the two of them that they can't even see each other just for now, because you're dealing with a 2.5-year-old. If it was 2 4-year-olds, then I would say put it on the behavior board for both of them. But that 2.5-year-old is probably antagonizing the 4-year-old. So yeah, it's without the physical barrier. I don't know how to do that. It's a physical thing because toddlers are not about words. That's 2.5-year-olds, not about words. It's about actions. The action I would do is put up that barrier. Look it up. There's all sorts of MacGyver stuff I've seen parents do, MacGyvering the partition between the two. And there's evidently things you can buy to do that. Seven-year-old screaming at me when I take her tablet away for night routine to begin. So what does it matter that she screams at you? I don't understand that. Does it matter that she's mad? You got to be willing to go into those storms. Everyone wants the rainbow. Well, how do I stop her from being mad? I don't know. That's part of it. So yeah, she's 7 years old though. I don't quite, she shouldn't be doing that at 7. Yeah, I don't know. She doesn't respect you. She doesn't respect you or else she wouldn't be doing that. So she knows she's got to hand it over, but she screams at you. It must upset you. Yeah, I would just say hand it over, and I say if you're gonna scream, then tomorrow night there's no tablet. So yeah, I would probably say something like that. I don't know. There's a lot of different ways you could deal with that, but I don't know what kind of parent you are. But I know she doesn't respect you, or she wouldn't do that. So yeah, check out the behavior board. It's the training wheels for all this stuff. It's 3 weeks. It's 3 different behavior boards for the first 3 weeks. Then the boot camp course goes into what you do after that. Because I've never used a behavior board. It's just a teaching tool. And then you go off the behavior boards. How can I stop my 3-year-old son to stop screaming when he gets upset, like when his Lego construction breaks? Yeah, that's a temper. He's got a nasty temper. I would say to him, so something breaks and he just screams, or does he have a tantrum? There's a difference. If he just screamed, if he has a tantrum, I would ignore him. Then once it's done, I would probably pack it all up. And if he just screams when it breaks, I would probably pack it all up. I take action pretty quick with stuff like that. If he screams just because the Lego construction breaks, yeah, I'd probably just pack it up and say, we'll try it again tomorrow. If it's going to upset you that much, we'll put it away. But you got to stay calm when you do this. If you do it when you're angry, it just doesn't work. You got to stay calm. Oh, you're really upset, but Lego, we're going to put that away for a whole day. You understand? I probably would. Yeah. But you see, I have no fear of the storm. To me, I know the rainbow's at the other side of that storm. Everyone's trying to avoid the scenes. Everyone's trying to avoid the fits, meltdowns, scenes, and tantrums. That is the lesson. Allow them to do that. If you're afraid of that, they're in charge. And boy, do they know that. It's like that 8-year-old kid who said to me, if you don't give me what I want, I'm going to have a fit. And I said, bring it on. And he never did. He was great with me. You could see he instantly thought, oh, she knows what she's doing. So yeah, I have no fear. I was kind of disappointed he didn't have a fit, because I'm like, watch and learn, watch and learn. I'm proud of how I handle this stuff. So yeah, but he never did. So yeah. Oh, if the Lego upsets you that much, I think we'll put it away for a day. Yeah, it's too upsetting. Yeah, I would. Is that mean? Is it mean to let a kid keep acting out? Keep having scenes? Which is meaner, stopping the scenes or allowing them to continue? Because if you feed that and don't put that Lego away, you're feeding it, you're condoning it, you're validating it. So you see, in the long run, it's kinder to be a leader than it is to just be a pleaser and give them whatever they want to avoid a scene. Got to put down the ages. That's cute. You said, I wish you were around 29 years ago when you were raising your kids, but you're passing the information along to your daughter. When I first came out on the scene, oh my God, people hated me because I was hardcore up against that pleaser parent style. It was extremely popular, discussing all their big feelings and if they had a tantrum, you hug them through it. All that stuff that just leads to absolute, self-entitled snowflakes with mental health issues. Now people are realizing that didn't work. So now they're coming to me. But when I first came on the scene, was I ever up against a lot. I was shaking things up. Yeah, it was pretty good. Schools loved me because they were really dealing with bad behavior with kids. It got just like an epidemic. Kids were just out of control. And teachers were having a really hard time handling them because parents weren't disciplining at home. They weren't teaching their children to be nice. But yeah, they were just trying to please them and trying to prevent any kind of challenge for their precious little child. It's really important that children learn that they don't get everything their own way. You're doing them a disservice if you spoil them and try and please them every moment, because life isn't like that. You're not preparing them for life. And then when anything goes wrong, there are these snowflakes that just can't handle anything, and they have breakdowns and they're all depressed. And you see, you're not building strong individuals and you're not doing them any service at all. So, Oh, don't forget to check out they're just starting on Saturday, those group live coaching sessions. They're free with the group coaching sessions with the boot camp courses. I have 2 boot camp courses, one for toddlers, one for 3 to 12-year-olds. So our 6-week series is just a one-off thing. We did it once before, I think in the spring. It was a lot of fun. And then all of those Zoom sessions they're recorded. They'll all end up in the course. So you can see other parents are going through all the same stuff you are. You know how many times parents ask me during private coaching sessions, they'll say, have you ever heard of this before? Am I the only one that's just failing at all? And I'm like, I hear it every single day. Every single day. You're not the only one struggling. Parents seem to think, because everyone puts on this brave face. I was lucky. I raised my kids in Australia. We were all competing on who had the worst kids and who was the worst mother. Oh, you wouldn't believe how stupid I was today. I remember I was in all these play groups and we were all laughing at all the dumb things we did as mother. It was more self-deprecating than showing off and trying to pretend everything was great. It was a much easier way to parent. And that's more my style anyway. I'm not trying to be perfect. I never was. When you're trying to, no one wants to be impressed. They just want to have fun, right? My mom always said that. But yeah. Okay. Now I'm going to move over to Instagram now. If you want to join me over there, it's BratBusters Parenting. Check out the link above. You can see my courses, my coaching, and the live Q&A series is starting this weekend, Saturday. It's free and it's with the bootcamp courses. It doesn't matter where you are in the bootcamp course. It's a group Zoom call and you can see all these other parents and all their little Zoom boxes asking all the same questions that you have a lot of the time. A lot of the same stuff, because they'll put up their hand to ask a question and they'll say, oh no, they just asked it. So you're not alone. If you're struggling, come along. You'll see all these other parents going through all the same stuff you're going through. Anyway, I'm going over to Instagram and I'm on YouTube the whole time. That's where I save all these lives. Happy parenting. Whoops. There we go. Oh, that's a lot of buttons to push. Okay. How long? Okay, I'm hoping to do boot camp. Okay. How long will it take my 11-year-old to start getting the benefit of good self-esteem? Is there more I can do to help this along? That is a child that had some hard times and I took her out of bad situations. Yeah, there's some trauma there, right? Yeah, okay. There's secrets imply shame, by the way. If this child wants to talk about stuff that happened in the past, let them do it. But yeah, self-esteem comes from being proud of yourself. It doesn't come from being told you're great. So yeah, when this child does something that they find difficult, I would say, oh, I'm really proud of you. You should be really proud of yourself. So that's where self-esteem comes from. It doesn't come from praise and being told you're great. So work on that. Work on giving this child stuff to be proud of. And talking about past pain is one of those things. Or doing well in school, or trying, not necessarily doing well, but trying hard, or helping you with something. Say, oh, you're just so great. I really enjoy being with you. So yeah, praise is it's overrated. It's overrated. Give your kids something to be proud of. How to avoid nonstop fighting and competition between 4 kids, 3 to 11. That is, I always say, that's level 8 in all this stuff. You're in level 1 if you're just signing up for this leadership stuff. I teach leadership parenting. Fighting is one of the most difficult things that I deal with in coaching. And it's not something that we do in the first session. So I really don't like talking about it in live, because it's just, you have to have some base work done on yourself as a leader before they'll even listen to you and you can deal with the fighting. Yeah. So I already talked about it a bit on Facebook in the live. I did offer some advice, but then I said, probably not going to work because you're just starting out with all this. It's not where we start. Yeah. It's like if you're learning how to drive, you don't take out a Formula 1 car, right? You drive a little smart car or something. You see what I'm saying? Fighting is the Formula 1 car. Actually, that's a very good analogy. I'm really bad at analogies, but that's a good one. Yeah, I'm going to write that one down. Smart car versus, and then I won't remember why I wrote it down. Smart car versus Formula 1 is fighting. And I always say we don't address attitude either, which we don't, but we sort of can. If everything's going well in about the 5th session of coaching, I might give some pointers on how you address attitude. But you can't do that without a lot of training first. But fighting's, yeah. There's the two last things to go is bad attitude, and it happens organically. And right before that is kids fighting. They almost stop fighting organically once you set yourself up as a leader. Kids who have a leader as a parent don't fight. Why would they? There's no reason to. Yeah, they don't fight. So yeah, it's one of those things. Everyone thinks there's an easy way to stop kids from fighting. If there was, they wouldn't be fighting because it would be easy to deal with. It's not. Once you're a leader, they stop fighting. But there's a few things that we do along the way. But yeah, it's not the first session at all. It's a tricky one. My 5-year-old son says bad words at school. How can I stop that? You put on the behavior board. The behavior board's completely free. It's up above. And you put down no bad words. And when he does, there's a consequence. I didn't even introduce myself. I'm sorry. I just came over from Facebook and I was yabbering over there. And I'm on YouTube the whole time. Anyway, my name's Lisa. I'm a parenting coach, a mother, and a grandmother. And if you go on the link above, you'll see my free behavior board. It has a toddler section now. You might want to check that out. I've got my 2 boot camp courses. And this Saturday, we're starting our free Q&A group sessions with those boot camps. It's just every Saturday morning, we'll be doing a group coaching session. If you're in that boot camp course, it doesn't matter where you are, week 1, week 5, or you could be finished it a year ago. It doesn't matter. You just turn up and ask questions. But you need the boot camp course to do this because it's, I'll be referring to it constantly. So anyway, and I'm going through it with you too. Anyway, that's starting this Saturday. And if you want one-on-one with me, that would be private coaching. So it's all linked above. I was telling my daughter 3 times today. I know I can always tell when someone's recognized me on the street. And this one mom was hilarious today. I haven't seen this before. She's pushing a stroller with a kid in it, and I'm coming towards her. So we're going to pass each other. And I just looked over and, I just sort of, look at each other for a second. And she goes like this. It was hilarious. She goes like this. And then she looked down, then she went like this. She side-eyed me the whole time walking beside her. It was hilarious. I almost said something, but I thought, no, I won't. She side-eyed me. Like I couldn't see her because she sort of had her shoulder up. If that was you, I was laughing after we walked past. I thought, why didn't you just say something like, hi, I saw you wherever. But it's really funny. Do parents who talk about winning and competing set up kids for fighting? No. Also, any suggestions for teaching 2-year-olds to do stairs? Oh, you asked that. I didn't answer that because I don't know how to do that. It's kind of a dangerous thing. So I don't want to say that. It's a safety issue. I don't want to comment on the stairs, right? It's a safety issue. But yeah, I'd be holding their hands. That's for sure. Do parents who talk about winning and competing set up kids for fighting? No. It's not a pathway into kids who are going to fight at all. Kids fight when they don't respect their parents and when they feel there are injustices. Kids fight mainly because of injustices. They feel things aren't fair. When they have a leader, leaders know how to make life fair. And if it isn't fair, they know to go to the leader and the leader will make sure things are fair. Not every single time. I would say, life isn't always fair. Sometimes it's going to be one way or the other. But yeah, that's why they don't fight, because fighting is a feeling of injustice, a feeling of not fairness. And when they have a leader parent, they feel like life is fair. It's just the way it is. They feel taken care of. They feel like you know what you're doing. That's why kids who have a leader as a parent don't fight. Starting to think my 4-year-old has major sensory issues. This comes up a lot in coaching. And I never quite know how to handle that. Like what I mean is it a medical diagnosis or are they just sensitive about certain things? We all are. We all have things we don't like. I used to hate slugs when I was a kid. Nothing bothers me much as I'm old, but I remember hating slugs. They just scared me for some reason. Slugs, why would that be? So is that a sensory issue or, did I hate the slime? I mean, so is it a sensory issue or they just don't like certain things? They're just sensitive. So I never quite know what that means because people use it so often that is it a true medical diagnosis or is it they're just touchy and they just don't like certain things? I don't know. Tell you something kind of cute. My son, I used to make all my kids' clothes, and it was interesting. And his waistbands. You know, when you buy clothes, it's just a waistband, and and some of them are stiffer than others, so they can be uncomfortable because kids, we all do. We start out skinny in the morning and bloated at night, right? So I made all their clothes. So what I would do when I would sew this waistband is I would sew 3 little skinny tunnels. So it was very soft, skinny elastic. So it stretched really beautifully. So it was really comfortable. So whenever someone would give clothes to my kids as a gift or something, they hated it because it wasn't as comfortable. So I would rip it all apart and make it, and I'd fix everything up. So that's why people never gave my kids clothes, because I was always redoing them. But yeah, was that a sensory issue? Or they just, you could just tell they were always kind of grabbing at their waistbands. And I remember they were toddlers. They couldn't, communicate that. But I remember feeling, I'd put my hands down their pants, like just to feel and it was too tight. So that's how I knew. But as soon as I started making really soft waistbands, and they were fine with that. But this was cute, actually. That wasn't the cute part. My son, I decided to buy him some dinosaur underpants. I saw them in the store, and he was going to start swimming at school in grade 1. Because in Australia, it's mandatory. They teach kids how to swim in school because of all the oceans and that. And so I thought, well, he'll be in the change room at school, so I'll buy him some special dinosaur bought underpants. So I laid them out on his bed. Imagine this being a big deal. So because I made all of his underpants. So anyway, and I put them on his bed, and he came home after school. He was 5 years old, and he goes, "Wow!" And imagine a kid being excited about underpants. Believe me, my kids had nice things. It's just funny. Anyway, and I thought he was excited because they were dinosaurs. You know what he said? He said, "Oh, wow, they have a tag." He'd never had underpants with a tag in them. That's what he was excited about. Anyway, it just floored me. I did not see that coming at all. Anyway, I thought, great. He couldn't stand them. The tag, he kept itching, and he had a horrible rash where that tag was, because his skin hadn't built up the immunity against tags, right? Because I made all of this stuff, and everything was so gentle with all these soft elastics in them. So anyway, and then I cut the tag out, but of course the edge of the tag was still scratching him, and he had a big rash, or like a welt. So then I had to take the waistband apart, take out the whole tag, and sew it back up without a tag. Isn't that crazy? So was that a sensory issue, or no? He had a rash. Anyway, so yeah, I never quite know what is it. Are they just fussy, or is it a medical diagnosis? You got to put the age. Can't answer it without an age. And don't just say 2, because I don't know what question, you know what I mean? I can't go back and check I don't go back and research that. Okay. Okay, 3-year-old will not share toys. You don't teach them how to share. You teach them how not to take stuff away from other people at 3 years old. I got a lot of different things you can do, but I would just put on the behavior board. It's completely free. Check out the link above. It starts at the age of 3, but I do have a toddler section in that now also, if you're interested. It's a blurb on toddlers and how you manage them. So because they can't go on the behavior board. They're about consistent corrective actions. Anyway, you put down, don't take toys off other people. Don't grab toys away from other kids. You put that down, and every time they do, there's a consequence. The other kid gets their favorite toy for the next 10 minutes or whatever. So yeah, just start there. And so don't teach sharing. We can teach that, but I don't start with that. If I'm just doing it on a live here, if I was coaching you, it's a little bit more involved. But yeah, just on live here, just say, don't grab toys off other people. Sharing is hard to teach, but not grabbing is easy to teach. They'll still do it, but it's easy to teach. Actually, I have 3 different methods of teaching sharing, but I won't go into that right now. My voice is starting to go, that's why. The behavior board. Okay, the behavior board, there's going to be 3 of them, and you're going to have one up in 1 week with 1 rule. The next week, you're going to have another behavior board with a different rule for the child. On the 3rd week, you're going to have a different rule. So you're going to end up with 3 rules. The consequences can be the same, but you're going to have 3 different rules, 3 weeks. You're starting small here. You got to master them. You don't deal with all the behaviors at once. You deal with 1 battle per week. Okay. And then that's as far as you go. After that, if you want to know more, you've got to join the boot camp course that teaches you what to do after the behavior boards. Because I would never use a behavior board. It's just a teaching tool. So yeah, you're not going to use that forever. Although some parents still go back to it years later because they say it worked really well. And if something comes up, they'll just do a behavior board because it's visual, right? Oh, do you change how you go about the behavior board when everyone is sick? Oh, everything goes out the window when everyone's sick. You can't follow through with all the stuff when everyone's sick. Oh, how do you deal with a runner when tantruming? I've heard you say you contain them. Do you hold their hand? No, I don't contain them. But I stop them from running in traffic. But if you're at home, just let them run. I don't care. Keep them in a room with you. No. They can go run. But if it's out in public, then you restrain them. Put a leash on them. There's no way I'd allow a runner to run into a bus, right? So that's what I meant. But yeah, you don't restrain them at home. Just let them do whatever they want. Unless they're getting violent, then you physically hold them. You restrain them. Only if they're violent. But not just running. I don't care if I'm quite thrilled if they run away. Go over there and have your tantrum. Yeah, and I mean, though that free behavior board, it's general. Sometimes with coaching, I will only do one behavior board. Then the next week, stuff will come up or something. I find out what happened in that first week. Sometimes we won't do a second behavior board till the third week. Because there's other stuff we're dealing with and all that sort of stuff. But it's just general. Here's the idea. Generally, this is the idea. You get one battle per week. You master the first one. Now you got 2 of them. Master the second one. Now then the third week, you got 3 of them. So you might even wait an extra week if you're really struggling with that second behavior board. The idea is by the third behavior board, after 3 weeks, maybe 4, because you might wait a couple of weeks with one of them. And then the whole idea is once you're starting to, it's about you and your leadership. Remember, I'm not teaching kids here. I'm teaching parenting. I don't teach kidding or teenagering or 9-year-olding. I'm teaching parenting. You're learning how to be a leader. Once they start respecting you, the other bad behaviors start to drop away. That's the whole idea here. That's the idea behind it. But there's a lot more to it sometimes. That's why I've got courses and coaching. But generally, that might be all you need. If you've got kids who are on the easier side, that might be all you need. How do you deal with an ADHD kid? That doesn't make any difference to me. All the kids I worked with had ADHD. 10-year-old who never thinks she's wrong and never takes accountability. That has nothing to do with ADHD. That's nothing to do with it. That says she's extremely insecure. Does she see you making mistakes and being accountable for them? Check out the behavior board. Remember, leaders lead by example. You're showing her how this is done. You're showing it's okay not to be perfect and to make mistakes. That's human. That's normal. I've never met a perfect person. And if they were, who'd want to meet them anyway? How boring would that be? So yeah, get the behavior board. You're on there too. It's okay to make mistakes. You just have to be accountable for them. But yeah, that's massive insecurity. People who can't admit their own mistakes, it's just massive insecurity. It says to me that she doesn't see you making a lot of mistakes and being accountable for them. So you got to show them how this is done. Oops, I got to move over to TikTok. Check out the link above. You can see my free behavior board. My mini toddler courses are ending this Saturday. We're getting rid of them all. They're all still in the toddler bootcamp course, though, as a bundle. So all the mini courses, they're almost finished. You've only got like 2 or 3 more days if you just want a little mini one. Anyway, so this Saturday, we've got our group live. They're basically coaching sessions. If you're in the bootcamp course, just 6 weeks of those. It'll be on Zoom, and you can all turn up, and it's really fun to do. I've done it once before. It's a 6-week program. And it's just free with the bootcamp courses. And those videos, those Zooms will end up on the course. And but yeah, you'll see all those little boxes with all the other parents in there asking all the same questions. You learn a lot from each other too, because you're mostly, I would say, you'll learn that you're not alone. You're not the only one struggling with your kids. So, okay, I'm heading over to TikTok now. If you want to join me over there, it's BratBusters Parenting. If not, have a nice night. Bye now. Okay. So I'm just reading on YouTube here. I've got 16 people on YouTube. YouTube's growing. That's my smallest platform. It's growing. We haven't put a lot into YouTube. YouTube's a different beast. We haven't had time to really look into that a lot. One day. We're putting all of our podcasts are going on YouTube. If you want to watch the podcast, not just listen to it, it's on YouTube. The podcast it's all linked above. Anyway, just waiting for everyone to turn up. My daughter and I are doing them together. We filmed 2 more today. Here's the difference between my daughter and I. Being in front of a camera exhausts her. Being in front of a camera exhilarates me. We'll film 2 episodes and I'm ready to do 20 more. We film 2, she's ready for a nap. So she's the behind the scenes. It's quite, but we're just different. We're just different personalities, which is why we work so well together. She likes the behind the scenes and I'm the product that she's working on. Yeah, she's a partner in my business. Okay. Okay, we'll just get going. I got enough people turning up now. So welcome. My name's Lisa. I'm a parenting coach and I'm a mother and I'm a grandmother. If you look at the link above, you can see my free behavior board. It has a toddler section. It's all free. There's a toddler section on there now too. So free behavior board and then my boot camp courses and the live coaching series, which is starting this Saturday. With those if you have to be in the boot camp course to get in on this, it's just a 6-week series. We're on Zoom. I'll be answering your parenting questions. You just turn up and ask questions. But you got to be in the boot camp course. It doesn't matter where you are in the course. Some people come in week 5 or 6 and, because they didn't know it was happening until then, whatever. So it's still okay. You can still ask questions, but wherever you are, you can ask questions. If you finished the boot camp course a year ago, you can still turn up to that. It's for everybody, but you got to be in the boot camp course. And then you can look into private coaching. If you want one-on-one with me, that's private coaching. Okay, and that's all linked above. So let's get going. Oh, I was just going to mention something that I thought was funny. I was going to tell a funny story and I forgot what it was. I just remembered what it was. I won't say it right now. If it comes up, I'll talk about it. It's just something funny about my daughter and I. Okay. How do you get oh gosh, you're going to hate me. This is Elvira. How do you get a 3-year-old to apologize if you don't talk about the bad behavior? What's an apology going to do? Consequences. Make amends. That is the apology. Yeah, don't get them to apologize. Don't get me started on that. Because I don't want to take up the whole live with that. I could go on forever. The word sorry means nothing to me. Nothing. Not with adults, not with kids, nothing. Yeah. You don't get them to say they're sorry. Not when they're little. As they get older, you want that from an adult more, but it doesn't mean much. It's just starting the ball rolling. Sorry, it was all my fault. What can I do to make it up to you? So that's the amends. It's the consequence. That is them. That's where the lesson is. Saying I'm sorry means nothing. Kids will say sorry, and then they'll just keep hitting. Sorry, they keep hitting. They see it as a get out of jail free card. And so do a lot of adults, by the way. Yeah, the words I'm sorry have way too much power these days. Yeah, I don't want to start talking about that. I'll go on too much about it. I'll go on one of my rants. I don't have the energy for one of my rants right now. You probably don't want to hear it anyway. You asked, how will my daughter get on in a year's time? I don't know. I'm not a psychic. Is that what you think I am? Yeah, I'm a parenting coach. My 3-year-old child keeps saying they're scared of preschool. I don't know. Are they scared or are they just saying that so they don't have to go? What are they scared of? What's scaring them? Ask the teacher. I remember years ago, I am going to go on a little bit about that sorry thing just because I'm so opinionated. I have a real strong opinion on that. Teaching children to say I'm sorry, and that's all better now. Say you're sorry, give me a hug, and that's over. Are you freaking kidding me? Where's the lesson? They don't care. All I have to do is say sorry, give mom a hug, and that's it. Wow. Talk about teaching entitlement. Where's the lesson? There is none. None. Useless. Absolutely useless. Because a toddler, a young child, has no empathy anyway. They just see that as get out of jail free. It'll shut you up. They've learned nothing. Do you think today's parents are more stressed than previous generations? Are you freaking kidding me? Of course. Absolutely, 100%. Years and years ago, children were raised by a village. There was multi-generational homes. There was neighborhoods. The kids were all out playing. Everyone knew everybody's business. There was a village raising children, and there was no one cared how they parented. They just wanted good products to come out of it. What I mean is no one was trying to show off. They'd spank their kids. They didn't think anything of it. But yeah, it's different. Nowadays, it's the show. Parents are very intimidated by being judged. It's the show. That's why. That's why. And kids are out of control now because of the pleaser parent. It came in about 30, 35 years ago. It's a total disaster. Raising self-entitled snowflakes with mental health issues, total disaster. Yeah, they don't respect themselves or anyone else the way they should. So yeah, and parents are embarrassed by that. They feel judged. They're embarrassed because their kids are rude. So yeah, huge, huge difference. Like if you'd asked, let's say 50 years ago, you asked a parent, well, do you think you're a good parent? They would have said, I don't care. Like it wasn't something to be proud of, or you know what I mean? It's just different. I'm not saying it's better necessarily, but it was different. There was a village raising kids, for sure. I can remember when I was growing up, and I was born in 1960, and I remember the streets were full of kids. And then the street lights would come on, and that was trouble. If you weren't home within like 5 minutes of that street light coming on, you were in trouble. We just all knew the rules, and we all knew each other's houses. We all knew. It was just a different world, right? It was just a different world. I'm not saying it was better or worse, but we were tougher, I think. Kids were tougher. And we weren't so much afraid of our parents, but we knew that there was going to be a consequence if we acted out. Nowadays, they might get a therapy session. Ooh, scary. Someone might discuss the bad behavior with them. Ooh. They don't give a crap about that. It's a disaster. I have so many opinions. I've been around forever. I've seen stuff come and go with parenting, and I've been doing the same method since I was 11 years old. I started volunteering in daycare centers. It's just leadership. I know how to make kids feel good about themselves, so they want to please me. That's all it is. That's all it is. And the way I make them feel good about themselves is I bring out the best in them. There's a consequence for bad behavior. The rest of the time, we're just having fun. Fun is their love language. I know how to connect with kids. I just understand kids. I just do. I just get it. And that's what I'm sharing with you. I'm not sharing what adults have taught me. I don't care about that. I never read a book on kids or anything. I'm telling you what kids have told me the last, 53 years now. I'm 64 now. The last 53 years. Kids have told me what they need, what they want, and I listen. See, I'm just telling you what they need. Not what you want to do. I'm not telling you what you want to hear necessarily. I'm telling you what works. I'm telling you from your child's perspective what they need from you. They need leadership. They need to be guided into being good people. They need to be guided into having things to be proud of, which is being nice, thoughtful, funny, fun. Have fun with your kids. Looking good for 64. I just turned 64. I love my 60s. I don't know why. I have no idea why. I love my 60s. 50s were okay. I got fat and I had menopause during my 50s. Now that's all over. I lost all the weight. I just feel like I'm alive again. So yeah, 50s, it was okay. It was okay. I love my 60s. What's your sign? I am a Leo. No, I'm a Libra. Sorry, I'm not into, I was going to say psychology. I'm not into, what's that called? Not numerology. What's that called? Signs? Sorry, I'm not into any of that stuff, obviously. What's that called? What is that called? What's your astrology? Yeah, I'm not into any of that. I don't know anything about it. Not that I don't like it. I've just never had an interest in it. Because too many people have guessed me the wrong way. Oh, I can tell you're a such and such. And they always have it wrong. I'm sure there's a lot to it, but it's amateur stuff. I'm sure everyone's kind of, you know what I mean? Like, I'm sure someone's really studied it, there's probably something to it. But all the, the surface stuff, I think I question a lot of that. Also, I told my kids with everything. I said, there's a whole bunch of different religions and beliefs out there. And I said, okay, how I worded this was I said, I would like you to take an interest in everything and then decide. Like, rather than just say that I don't like the sound of that, I like to look into things before I make a decision. And it doesn't mean that if there's anything wrong with the decision or right with the decision that you make. It's just what feels right to you. So I didn't care if my kids became Buddhists or, whatever. I didn't care. But I wanted them to take an interest in everything and then decide what felt right for them. Not what I wanted. That's ridiculous. You're not building mini me's. You're building strong, confident, independent thinking young people. So yeah, I didn't want to put anything on them. I was pretty careful about that. That's such a Libra thing to say. I love that. That's great. That's great. That's very much the space I'm in with my spirituality for my kids. Leaving Mormonism, family displaced. That's their problem. I think you've got to find what's right for you. I have a whole bunch of Jewish clients right now. Like a huge portion of my clients are Jewish, and I'm learning so much about that religion. Do you know what I find fascinating about the Jewish religion? This is just my own perception of it, because I've been asking a lot of questions about it, right? I'm just interested in stuff. I always like learning. And is that they're never sort of Jewish, you know what I mean? If you're Jewish, you're all in. That's what I found. There's Orthodox and, all these different types, but it fascinates me. They're like all in. Whereas it's not like saying you're Christian necessarily, they're sort of might go to church or but they're like, they have these rules. I respect that. I think that's great. They're committed. They go all in. I really respect that. They pick a lane and they stay in it. So yeah, my goodness, I've learned so much about the Jewish religion. It's fascinating. I'm not religious, but I am always interested in learning stuff. Okay, I heard the term intensive parenting. Is that a term? I wouldn't have a clue. I don't teach it. I don't know what else is out there. Like my teachers were kids, so I don't know what else is out there at all. I never ever look at it, ever. Because if I'm ever criticizing something, I'm never criticizing someone. Okay, this is interesting. Grandma hooks her. When I say she's smart, she's extremely smart, right? But I find her getting bored really fast. My son was gifted, right? He was brilliant in entertaining himself. So, and he didn't get bored very often. He was always good at seeing things his own way and putting his own spin on things. So yeah, that doesn't go with being smart necessarily. And being smart is nothing to brag about. It's just like being good looking or being, your brain just works a different way. It's just something you're born with. It's nothing to be proud of. I told him that. I told my kids, never be proud of being smart or good looking. Those are just gifts that you're given. Be grateful for them. But be proud of being nice, trying hard, being funny, being fun. Be proud of all that stuff. Be proud of who you become as a person. But yeah, you can't be proud of being smart. That's so overrated. Do you know how many smart jerks I've met in my lifetime? Never impressed me. So yeah, they're very quick to tell you how smart they are. But yeah, I find they're the most obnoxious people. That's why when my son was labeled gifted and he was segregated at some point, I fought that like crazy. Anyway, but yeah, I never taught him to be proud of that, and he never was. He never led with that. So I was really proud of that. Oh, this is, yeah. My 20-month-old bites when frustrated. When we ask him if it's okay to bite, he says no. So you're reasoning with him? He's 2. He's not even 2. He's 1. and a bit. Don't reason with him. Just say no and then take a favorite toy away or remove yourself from him. It's actions. Is it okay to bite? They don't do naughty things because they don't understand the situation. It's an impulse. Understanding has nothing to do with their behavior. Nothing. They know they shouldn't bite. It has nothing to do with doing it. The impulses that they have, they just want to do it. It's only stopped by consistent corrective actions, not these mini therapy sessions. It's like saying to a child, you know you shouldn't do that. What a patronizing thing to say. You know you shouldn't do that. In other words, you're messed up. Yeah. It's bullying, berating, and shaming. And it doesn't work anyway at all. Just have a consequence. And the consequence when they're under 3 is consistent corrective actions. Check out my behavior board. It has a toddler section in it now. It's all free, the behavior board. Also, my series, the 6-week series on the group coaching sessions with the boot camp courses, both of them are starting this Saturday. That's all free. But you have to be in the boot camp course to do that. So check that out. And you're all going to see all little boxes with all the other parents going through all the same stuff you're going through. You're not alone. When I'm coaching, coaching is my absolute favorite thing to do. I love coaching. And I just love it. And sometimes or often they'll say to me, have you ever heard of anyone doing this before? I just feel like such a bad parent. And I say, I hear it every single day. I don't know why parents think that they're the only ones struggling with this stuff. I think they're looking up those pretty Instagram moms or something. I say, look up funny parenting fails. You will feel like $1 million after watching that stuff. I apply consequences and my son says, I don't care. I feel beaten. Oh, he's just bluffing. I don't care. Yes, sure he does. Or else you just got to up the consequence a little bit. Yeah, they'll often say that. Oh, I'm happy to wash this window. Love washing the window. Doesn't bother me at all. I would just say, great, enjoy, and let them keep doing it. You call us bluff. Yeah, they often do that. Doesn't bother me at all. Happy to sweep the floor. Yippee, yay. So, yeah, it's usually just a bluff. It's usually just, you can't bother me. It's like that. Where do we go to begin coaching? Just go on the link above. It'll explain how you look up coaching. That's one-on-one with me. It's interesting because I've been doing it now for 17 years, I think. And I started doing crisis work with teenagers. And because teenagers are sort of my specialty. And it's my favorite age. So a lot of my clients were older than me 17 years ago. I never have clients that are anywhere near my age anymore. Even if they have teenagers, I'm still the oldest one on the call. So, but yeah, it's quite funny how that's happened. I've been doing it for so long that now I'm older than all my clients. You guys all look so young now. A lot of them are younger than my kids. So it's funny. And some of my clients now, their parents were my clients. So it's interesting. So yeah. That's how long I've been doing this. And I was talking to a client the other day, and I always try and act tough. It's sort of my go-to. So I'm always trying to act tough. And I said, yeah, I know I can be pretty tough. And she said to me, no, you're not. The way she said it. It's like she blew my cover. I'm always trying to act tough. Yeah, I know I can be tough. So I have it. And she goes, no, you're not. There's the way she said it was so funny. We both just cracked up. Yes, I am. I'm tough. I don't know why. I've always been like that. I don't like to look like I'm not tough. I don't know why. It's just a weird. My son's kind of like that too. Weird. Oh, I am. Oh, I am. Where have you been? Haven't seen you in ages. I also haven't seen Dot in ages. Dot had a baby and was that you? I am. Or was it Dot? Can't remember. Did you have a baby in February? Anyway, my daughter is teething. Oh, cute. Yeah, teething. I'm very careful with baby stuff because it's mostly medical. But what I used to do with my kids is I would I mean, the teething rings, obviously, you freeze those. But also, I would just get a wet face cloth and put it in the freezer. And then I'd take it out and kind of soften it up a little bit. And they love chewing on that face cloth. Obviously, something they can't get, string out of or whatever. But yeah, teething it's just awful. That's when they started biting too, because they're chewing on everything. And that's when you're breastfeeding. They started, oh yeah, it was you, Heather and March. Excellent. Welcome back. I haven't seen you in ages. Or if you've been on here, I haven't seen your name on here. No pressure, but I'd trust you with my life. I'll be honest, I'm pretty trustworthy. Like I don't know a lot, but I mean, I'm pretty trustworthy. Put it this way. If you ever lost your wallet and I found it, you'd get every penny back. And same with my kids. Yeah, so I'm pretty trustworthy. So thanks for that. But yeah, don't trust me with your life. I'm not that coordinated. Sorry, I'm going to look over to, hi, Tabitha. I'm just looking on YouTube. Okay. Well, I don't want to address everything on here because I'm just going to pinpoint something that you said. This is Frugal Mama on YouTube. When the kids come back from grandma's, they're a mess, right? They're all hyper and all that. They're wild. When you're a leader, okay, they come back from grandma's. I don't know if she's giving them sugar or what. I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. They come back and they're wild. Basically, when you're a leader, now, wait a minute. There's so many different ways that could go because is she really tough? Is she the authority or the spoiler? There's a difference there. Is she the spoiler that gives them everything they want? And then they come home and they're on that being spoiled high with sugar and just having their own way? Or is she the authority and they've had to toe the line with her? And then when they see you, they just go wild because they can finally relax. So yeah, I don't want to answer that because it could be either way. Okay. This is kindergartner with new behaviors since starting school. Yep, they're going to learn all sorts of stuff. The best advice I can give you when you're sending kids off into the world is when you're a leader, they're not going to be susceptible to peer pressure, bullying, the drug dealer on the corner, the internet, the Kardashian. When they have oh, shoot. Sorry, I might have lost you for a second. I just got a spam call. When they have a leader at home, they're not vulnerable when you send them out there to peer pressure or anything. You know how they say, well, you put in with the wrong crowd. When they have a leader at home, they come home and tell you everything. They run everything by you. They feel safe with you. They trust you. They're at their best when they're with you. You make them feel good. You don't make them toe the line because they're obedient soldiers. That's ludicrous. You are a safe place to land because you make them feel good about themselves and you empower them to make decisions. So if you're a leader, I teach leadership parenting. It's just you lead by example. You're accountable too. I was in trouble all the time. I would promise I'd do something. Yeah, I hate cooking. So I'd promise, I know. I said I'll make muffins tonight. And then I'd forget, of course. Promise you'll make them tonight? I promise I'll make muffins tonight. The next morning, oh, you should have seen my kids. My son was the older one. They'd come in the kitchen. Remember last night, Mom, you promised to make muffins? I don't see no muffins. I'd say, great, what do you want? Oh, we'd love to go to the water slide park after school. And I'd say, fine. So you want to be accountable. Being a good leader is not about being a dictator. It's not an authority. It's someone who shows how it's done. Believe me, I'm accountable. So if I make a mistake, I make amends. I'm very quick to do that actually with anybody. And especially my kids when they were growing up. Now, how does that make them feel? If they've got a parent who's very quick to say, yep, I messed up. What do you want? I'll make it up to you. How does that make them feel about themselves? And you? Pretty good, right? So if they feel that good about themselves when they're with you, no one else can top that. So that's why they're not susceptible to peers who are trying to lead them astray. Does that make sense? You have so much power over your kids' behavior between 3 and 12. And then when they're teenagers, you're still a huge influence in them over their lives. Huge influence. But you want them more to be their own leaders when they're teenagers. You're transferring that leadership torch over to them. Okay, I got to get going. I've had a very long day. So I'm going to get going. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me. And my daughter and I had a painting party. Those are my paintings. I'll tell you, they look a lot different from when they started. I kept trying to fix them up. Those were going to be 2 straight lines. I kept going outside the line, then I had to correct it. So I don't want to talk about it. Anyway, we had fun doing that. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me. Check out the link above. You can get the free behavior board, which now includes a toddler section. It's all free. And you can look into the boot camp courses and join it starts this Saturday. If you're in the boot camp course, we're having group coaching sessions every Saturday morning for 6 weeks. Doesn't matter where you are in the boot camp. And you can join in anytime, and they'll all be included in the boot camp course. So you can see them even if you can't be there. You can see them in the course afterwards. So check that out. And our podcast is going great. Thanks so much for your support and coaching. You know where to find me if you want to hire me for coaching. So thanks so much. Have a good night. Happy parenting.